Hey everyone, before we dive into today's journey, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe if you're genuinely enjoying these deep dives into history. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love seeing our little community spread across the world. Now, maybe dim those lights, get comfortable, and let's step back in time together. Ever fantasized about being a knight, riding into battle, wearing gleaming armor, saving maidens, feasting in grand halls? Yeah, Hollywood sold you a fairy tale. The truth? You'd probably cry before breakfast. Because being a medieval knight wasn't about glory. It was about surviving another day in a world designed to break you, body and soul. Tonight, we're living 24 hours as a medieval knight. Not the romanticized version, the real one. The one that starts before sunrise in a freezing stone room and ends with you collapsing into bed, praying you wake up tomorrow. We're talking bruises, blisters, political backstabbing, constant threat of death, and the crushing weight of duty that never, ever lets up. So strap in, because this isn't a fairy tale. This is the daily grind that forged legends and killed men. And you're about to experience every agonizing, exhausting hour of it. Dawn's first light, the brutal awakening. Congratulations, you're a knight, and you've just been jolted awake by the sound of a bell clanging somewhere in the fortress. It's not gentle, it's not melodic. It's the medieval equivalent of someone banging pots next to your head while screaming that your life is about to be terrible for the next 16 hours. Your eyes crack open. There's no snooze button, no warm comforter, no central heating gently warming your toes. You're in a stone chamber, and that stone has been absorbing cold all night, like it's trying to win an award for maximum human suffering. Your breath comes out in visible clouds. The air tastes like damp rock and old smoke. Your bed? Let's use that term loosely. It's a wooden frame with a straw mattress that's been compressed into something resembling a lumpy pancake. There might be a wool blanket, but it's heavy, scratchy, and probably home to a small civilization of insects. You've been sleeping in your undertunic, because undressing completely would mean freezing to death before morning. Medieval knights don't sleep naked. Medieval knights sleep prepared to jump up and stab something if necessary. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, and your feet hit stone. Cold, unforgiving stone. No heated floors here. No cozy slippers waiting. Just rock that seems personally offended by the warmth of human flesh. Every joint in your body protests. Your shoulder, the one you injured in training 3 months ago, sends a sharp reminder that it never fully healed. Your lower back, strained from riding in armor, adds its own complaint to the chorus. You're maybe 30 years old. In knight years, that's basically elderly. Your body has taken more beatings than a practice dummy, and it keeps a detailed record of every single one. That scar on your thigh? Tournament in 1342. The weird way your left wrist clicks? Fell off your horse during a skirmish. The constant ache in your ribs? Let's not even talk about it. But you can't lie here contemplating your collection of injuries. Duty is already calling. Literally. You can hear the sounds of the castle waking up. Boots on stone, distant shouts, the clang of metal. Horses snorting in the stables below. The fortress is coming alive, and if you're not ready, you're already behind. You stagger to the small basin in the corner. There's water in it. Ice-cold water. Because of course it is. You splash it on your face, and the shock nearly stops your heart. This is your morning coffee, your wake-up call, your reminder that comfort is for the weak and the dead. You run wet hands through your hair, which you probably haven't properly washed in a week. Personal hygiene is negotiable. There's a small window, barely more than an arrow slit, letting in the first gray light of dawn. You look out at the landscape. Mist clings to the fields. The forest beyond looks dark and uninviting. Somewhere out there are bandits, rival lords, and possibly an army planning to siege your home. But right now, your biggest enemy is the cold, and your body's desperate plea for just 5 more minutes of rest. You don't get 5 more minutes. You get a knock on your door and a squire's voice. "My lord, the marshal requires your presence in the training yard at first bell." Of course he does. You straighten up, trying to look like a warrior instead of a man who just woke up questioning all his life choices. Time to get dressed. Time to become a knight. Time to pretend your body doesn't hate you. Breaking fast. Fuel, not pleasure, before the armor. Before the training. Before you can even think about being the noble warrior everyone expects, you need to eat. And let me be clear, breakfast in medieval times is not brunch. There's no avocado toast, no fresh squeezed orange juice, no Instagram-worthy spread of pastries and fruit. You make your way down the spiral staircase, each step worn smooth by generations of boots. The stone walls seem to lean in, close and oppressive. Torches flicker in their sconces, casting dancing shadows that make everything look vaguely sinister. You pass other members of the household, servants already bustling with their endless tasks, other knights groggy and silent. The great hall is already filling, long wooden tables, benches, the smell of smoke, old rushes on the floor that haven't been changed in too long, and the distinctive aroma of whatever's being served. You take your place at the table, not at the high table where the lord sits, but among your fellow knights. Rank matters, always. A wooden bowl appears in front of you. Inside, pottage. Again. It's a thick, grayish porridge made from barley, maybe some peas, possibly a bit of salted pork if you're lucky. It's been simmering since yesterday, and it has the consistency of wallpaper paste, and roughly the same flavor. You grab a wooden spoon and start eating, not because it's good, but because your body needs fuel, and this is what's available. Next to your bowl, bread. Hard bread. The kind that requires strong teeth and determination. It's made from maslin flour, a mix of wheat and rye, and it's dense enough to be used as a weapon in a pinch. You dunk it in the pottage to soften it, because biting directly into it might actually damage your teeth. This bread is days old. Fresh bread is for feast days and special occasions. To drink, small beer. Yes, beer for breakfast. Not because medieval people were all alcoholics, but because the water is questionable at best and deadly at worst. This ale is weak, more like drinking liquid bread, but it's safer than risking whatever's in the well. You gulp it down, barely tasting it. Around you, conversations are muted. Other knights are eating with the same grim determination. Nobody's savoring their meal. Everyone's fueling up for whatever today throws at them. There's brief talk of patrols needed, reports of movement near the border, mentions of a bandit camp that needs clearing. Nothing cheerful. Just the business of survival. The lord of the castle sits at the high table, picking at his food while discussing matters with his steward. Even his breakfast, which includes actual meat and white bread, doesn't look particularly appetizing. Medieval cuisine isn't about enjoyment. It's about not starving. You finish your pottage, scraping the bowl clean because wasting food is not an option. You wipe your mouth on your sleeve because napkins are for royalty and the excessively wealthy. Your stomach is full but not satisfied. It never is. Your body has learned to function on just enough, never plenty. A servant moves through the hall with a basket of hard cheese and some wrinkled apples left over from last harvest. You grab both. The cheese is sharp enough to make your eyes water, but it's protein. The apple is mealy and brown in spots, but it's something different than grain and salt pork. As you chew, you think about tonight's meal. Will it be the same? Probably. Will tomorrow's breakfast be different? Unlikely. Variety is not part of the equation. You eat what's available, what can be stored, what can feed dozens of people without breaking the castle's supplies. Someone mentions that a supply wagon is expected next week. Small moment of hope. Maybe there will be salted fish, maybe some onions, maybe a barrel of better ale. But maybe is a dangerous word. Maybe the wagon gets ambushed. Maybe the harvest wasn't enough. Maybe you'll be eating the same slop 6 months from now. You stand, leaving the bowl behind for a servant to collect. Breakfast is over. Not because you're full or satisfied, but because there's no more time. The day is already moving forward, and you're expected to move with it. As you head back through the hall, you notice the dogs fighting over scraps under the tables. Even they look disappointed with the menu. Time to armor up. Time to become the image everyone expects. Time to prove that breakfast, no matter how grim, was enough to carry you through whatever comes next. It won't be. The weight of protection, armoring up. This is the part the stories never get right. They show the knight already in armor, gleaming and ready, heroic music swelling. They don't show the reality, that getting into full armor is a production, a ritual, and occasionally a nightmare that makes you question why you ever wanted this life. You return to your chamber. Your armor is waiting. Not in a neat display case with dramatic lighting. It's hanging on a wooden stand or laid out on a table. And even just looking at it makes you tired. Because you know what's coming. You know what it weighs. You know what it feels like 6 hours from now when you're still wearing it and your body is screaming. You can't do this alone. Not really. Not if you want it done right. Your squire is already there, a teenager who's learning the craft of knighthood by helping you suffer through it first. He's eager, nervous, and probably smells better than you do. He'll learn. First layer, the padded gambeson. This is a thick, quilted jacket that goes on over your tunic. It's stuffed with wool or old fabric, designed to absorb impacts and keep the metal armor from rubbing your skin raw. You pull it on and immediately you're warmer. Too warm. You're already starting to sweat, and you haven't even started on the metal yet. Next, the mail shirt, or hauberk. This is thousands of interlocking iron rings, meticulously linked together by some craftsman who probably went blind doing it. Your squire helps you pull it over your head. The weight settles on your shoulders like someone just dumped a sack of rocks on you. 40 pounds of metal, distributed mostly on your upper body. The rings clink and shift with every movement. It's loud. It's heavy. It's also what keeps swords from opening you up like a letter. The mail comes down to your knees. There are separate mail leggings for your legs, attached with leather straps. More weight. More restriction. You're starting to feel like a wrapped package, layers upon layers, each one adding to the burden. Now the plate armor. If you're wealthy enough to afford it, and let's say you are, because you're a reasonably successful knight with a decent estate, plate armor is expensive, custom-made, and absolutely necessary if you want to survive a real battle. Your squire brings the cuirass, the breastplate and backplate. It's crafted to fit your torso, curved to deflect blows. He helps you into it, fastening the leather straps at your sides. The metal is cold even through the layers beneath. More weight. You're up to about 60 pounds now, and counting. Pauldrons for your shoulders. These are articulated, allowing movement while protecting one of your most vulnerable areas. Ray braces and vambraces for your upper and lower arms. Gauntlets for your hands, with articulated fingers that barely let you grip properly. Each piece is strapped, buckled, or tied into place. Each piece adds restriction, cuisse for your thighs, pull-ins for your knees, which are already aching, and you haven't even started the day. Greaves for your shins, sabatons for your feet, metal shoes that make walking feel like you're wearing diving boots. Finally, the helmet. Saved for last because once it's on, your world shrinks. Your squire hands it to you. It's a bassinet with a visor, or maybe a great helm depending on your preference and the occasion. You lower it onto your head. The world becomes narrower. Your vision is limited to a small slit. Your hearing is muffled. Your breathing echoes inside the metal. Claustrophobia is real, and every knight knows it, but you learn to push it down. You're now wearing somewhere between 60 and 80 pounds of metal and padding, distributed across your body, yes, but still there, still restricting, still exhausting. You try to move. Every action takes more effort. Bending over, nearly impossible. Reaching something on the ground, forget it. Running? You can manage a jog, but you're not sprinting anywhere. If you fall down, getting back up is a wrestling match with your own equipment. The heat is already building. Inside all these layers, your body temperature is rising. On a summer day, you'll be cooking inside your own armor. Knights have died from heat exhaustion in full plate without ever taking a single blow. The metal conducts heat beautifully, which means in summer you're roasting, and in winter you're freezing. Your squire hands you your sword belt. The blade hangs at your side, another 10 pounds. Your shield, if you're carrying one today, another 15. You're a walking arsenal, and every pound of protection is also a pound of burden. You look at yourself in the small, imperfect mirror. You look imposing, intimidating, like a warrior from legend. But inside, you're already tired. You're already uncomfortable, and the day has barely begun. This is what they don't tell you about being a knight. The armor is both your salvation and your prison. It keeps you alive and makes you miserable in equal measure. And you'll wear it for hours today. Through training, through inspections, through court if required. You'll wear it until your shoulders burn, your back screams, and your legs feel like they're made of lead. But you'll wear it anyway, because without it, you're just a man. And a man dies easily in the medieval world. Your squire steps back, admiring his work. You're ready. You're armed. You're a knight. Now comes the hard part. Actually doing something while wrapped in all this metal. The training yard, where warriors are forged and broken. Stepping out into the courtyard feels like emerging from a cave into a different world. The sun has risen higher now, burning off some of the morning mist. The training yard is already alive with activity. Squires running drills, men-at-arms practicing formations, the clash of wood on wood, metal on metal, and the occasional grunt of pain. This is where you'll spend the next several hours. Because being a knight isn't about the battles you fight once or twice a year. It's about the training you do every single day to prepare for those battles. It's about keeping your skills sharp, your reflexes quick, and your body capable of violence when violence is required. The master-at-arms is already waiting. He's older, scarred, and has the kind of face that suggests he's seen every mistake you could possibly make and has no patience for any of them. He fought in real wars, He's killed real men. And he's here to make sure you don't die stupidly when your time comes. Late, he grunts as you approach. You're not late. You're exactly on time. But in his world, on time is late. You should have been early. Eager, already sweating, no excuses, no explanations. You take your place among the other knights. Some are younger, still eager and unbroken. Others are your age or older, moving with the stiffness of old injuries and accumulated exhaustion. This is your brotherhood. Men who understand exactly what you're going through, because they're going through it too. Sword drills, the Master-at-Arms announces. Partner up. You pair off with another knight, someone you've trained with dozens of times. You know his moves, he knows yours. That familiarity breeds neither contempt nor comfort, just efficiency. You draw your training sword, blunted steel that still hurts like hell when it connects. Begin. And just like that, you're fighting. Not playfully, not gently. Real intensity, real speed, real consequences if you screw up. Your partner comes at you with an overhead strike. You raise your blade, blocking. The impact reverberates through your arms, rattling your teeth. You push back, creating space, then counter with a slash toward his midsection. He pivots, deflects, comes back with a thrust toward your chest. This goes on. Strike, block, counter, dodge, over and over. Your armor makes every movement harder. Your arms are burning. Sweat is pouring down your face, stinging your eyes, but you can't stop to wipe it away. The moment you drop your guard is the moment you eat steel. Around you, other pairs are engaged in the same brutal dance. The yard fills with the sound of combat, shouts of exertion, the clang of blade on blade, the occasional curse when someone takes a particularly hard hit. The Master-at-Arms circles like a predator, watching everything. Footwork, Sir William. You're standing like a drunk peasant. Shield higher, Sir Robert, unless you want your face rearranged. Move. Move. Your enemy won't wait for you to catch your breath. You're gasping for air inside your helmet. The heat is unbearable. Your gambeson is soaked through with sweat. Your muscles are screaming, but you keep going, because stopping means being singled out, humiliated, made an example of. After what feels like an eternity but is probably only 20 minutes, the Master-at-Arms calls a halt. You lower your blade, bent over, trying to suck air through the narrow slit in your helmet. Every part of you is trembling. Polearm drills, spears, formation work. Oh good, more suffering. You're handed a practice spear, long and heavy. The knights form up in lines, shields overlapping, spears protruding forward like the teeth of some metal beast. This is how you fight in actual battle, not as glorious individuals, but as a unit, a wall of men and metal designed to break enemy formations. Forward. The entire formation moves as one, or tries to. Coordinating movement and armor, keeping your shield locked with your neighbors, maintaining your spacing. It's harder than it looks. Someone stumbles. The line ripples. The Master-at-Arms loses his mind. Again! You reset, move forward again, this time better. Then you practice the defensive stance, holding against an imaginary cavalry charge. Then the pivot, turning the formation to face a new threat. Every drill is designed to be instinctive, so in the chaos of real battle, your body knows what to do, even when your mind is drowning in fear and adrenaline. Next, mounted combat. This is where things get truly dangerous. You're led to the stables, where your destrier is waiting. This isn't some gentle riding horse. This is a war horse, trained to bite, kick, and trample. He's massive, temperamental, and barely tolerates you most days. Mounting a horse in full armor is an adventure. You need help. Your squire and a stable hand basically hoist you into the saddle. Once you're up there, you feel the height advantage, the power. But you also feel how precarious it is. Falling from this height in this much metal onto hard ground, you're breaking something. Guaranteed. Mounted drills begin. Charging at the quintain, a rotating target designed to swing around and smack you if your timing is off. You lower your lance, spurring your horse forward. The world narrows to the target. Impact. The lance shatters correctly, and you stay in the saddle. Success. You ride back, get another lance, go again. Other knights aren't as lucky. You hear a crash behind you. Someone got hit by the quintain's counterweight and went down hard. There's groaning. Laughter from the others. Not cruel laughter, but the kind that says, "Glad it wasn't me this time, but it will be eventually." Riding drills, weaving through obstacles, practicing the coordinated charge, learning to control your horse with your knees because your hands are busy with weapons. It's exhausting for you and the horse. By the end, both of you are lathered in sweat and ready for a break. But there's no break. There's weapons maintenance. Back in the armory, you're inspecting your equipment, checking for loose straps, testing the edge on your blade, looking for weak links in your mail. This part isn't glamorous, but it's essential. A broken strap mid-battle means your armor falls off. A dull blade means you can't cut through enemy armor. A weak mail link means a dagger finds your ribs. You sit on a bench, surrounded by other knights doing the same. Everyone's quiet now, focused on their gear. This is meditative in a way. Your hands know these motions. Clean, inspect, repair, sharpen. Over and over. Maintenance is survival. Your body is already a catalog of pain. Your shoulders are on fire. Your thighs are bruised from the saddle. You have a fresh dent in your vambrace from where your training partner got a lucky hit. Your hands are blistered inside your gauntlets. And it's not even midday yet. But you're a knight. This is what you signed up for. This is what you trained for since you were a boy. And tomorrow, you'll do it all again. Because the moment you stop training is the moment you start dying. The castle's demands: politics, administration, and power. After the physical brutality of the training yard, you might think the rest of the day is easier. You'd be wrong. Because being a knight isn't just about swinging swords and charging at targets. It's about politics, administration, and navigating the treacherous waters of feudal hierarchy. And honestly, sometimes this part is more dangerous than combat. You're summoned to the Great Hall, not for a feast, but for the Lord's Council. You're expected to attend, to advise, to represent your interests and those of your estate. You strip off the armor, finally, with your squire's help. The relief is immediate and overwhelming. Your body feels like it weighs nothing without all that metal. But you're also exposed, vulnerable, and somehow more exhausted without the structure holding you up. You wash quickly, change into cleaner clothes, something more appropriate for court. A tunic with your family's colors, a belt with your ceremonial dagger. You run your fingers through your damp hair, trying to look like a nobleman instead of a man who just spent 3 hours being beaten in armor. The Great Hall has transformed. The morning's meal has been cleared. The high table is now surrounded by chairs. The Lord sits at the center, flanked by his most trusted advisors, knights, the castle steward, the chaplain, and various other men whose influence far exceeds their official titles. You take your place, not at the head of the table, but among the other landed knights. Rank. Always rank. Who sits where is a silent declaration of power and favor. You notice Sir Geoffrey has moved closer to the Lord since last month. Interesting. Political maneuvering at work. The meeting begins. The steward presents accounts, taxes collected from your estate and others, expenses for maintaining the castle, costs of the recent repairs to the eastern wall, numbers upon numbers, and you're expected to follow along, to know exactly what your lands are producing and what you owe. Then comes the issue of the bandits. A group has been raiding farms on the border between your estate and Lord Blackwood's territory. Crops stolen, a barn burned, 2 peasants killed. This requires response. But whose responsibility is it? The raids occur on the boundary, the Lord says, his voice measured. Sir William, your lands border that area. What say you? All eyes turn to you. This is a test. Answer wrong, and you look weak. Answer too aggressively, and you might provoke a conflict with Lord Blackwood, who's technically an ally, but also a rival. Everything is layers within layers. My lord, you begin, choosing words carefully. I've already dispatched scouts to track the bandits' movements. They appear to be using the old Roman road as their route, which crosses both my lands and Lord Blackwood's. I propose a joint patrol. Share the cost, share the credit. It demonstrates cooperation and prevents any misunderstanding about territorial overreach. The Lord nods slowly. Others murmur approval. You've threaded the needle, shown initiative without stepping on toes. Political points earned. But Sir Geoffrey, ever the ambitious one, leans forward. With respect, if we're combining forces, command should fall to the knight with the most battle experience in that terrain. I've fought bandits in those woods before. There it is. He's trying to take control of the operation. Gain prestige. Make you look like you're delegating because you can't handle it yourself. The politics are exhausting, but you can't let it slide. Sir Geoffrey's experience is noted, you reply smoothly. But as the raids occur primarily on my lands, my tenants are looking to me for protection. Command should remain local, though I would welcome Sir Geoffrey as second, given his expertise. You've just outmaneuvered him, kept control while acknowledging his skills, made him look petty if he pushes further. The Lord sees it too. He waves a hand. Sir William will lead. Sir Geoffrey will assist. Report back in 1 week. Next matter. The meeting continues. Disputes between tenants that require judgment. A request to host a tournament, which means expense and preparation, but also prestige. Discussion of defenses, supply chains, potential threats from neighboring regions. You're mentally exhausted just tracking it all. Who's allied with whom? Who owes whom favors? Who's rising in influence and who's falling? It's chess with human pieces. And making the wrong move can cost you lands, title, or life. After 2 hours, the council adjourns. You stand, bow to the Lord, and file out with the others. In the corridor, Sir Geoffrey catches up to you. Well played in there, he says, and you can't tell if he's genuine or setting up another move. We're on the same side, you reply neutrally. Of course. For now. He walks away, leaving you with that delightful ambiguity. Medieval politics, where everyone smiles and nobody trusts anyone. But there's more work. You return to your chamber where a stack of parchments awaits. Reports from your estate steward, harvest estimates, tenant disputes, a request to allow a merchant caravan to cross your lands, a letter from your brother asking for a loan. You sit at your small desk, dip a quill in ink, and begin writing responses. Your handwriting is functional, but not beautiful. You learned to read and write, which already puts you ahead of most people, but you're no scholar. Still, administration is part of the job. Ignore it and your estate falls apart. Let your estate fall apart and you lose your position, your income, your relevance. You approve the merchant caravan, taking a small fee for safe passage. You deny your brother's loan because he still hasn't repaid the last one. You authorize repairs to a mill. You order your steward to investigate a complaint about a tenant stealing from his neighbor.
Hours pass. The light through your narrow window shifts. Your hand cramps from writing. Your back aches from hunching over the desk. This is the unsexy side of knighthood. No glory here. Just endless paperwork, endless decisions, endless responsibility. A knock at your door. Your squire enters. "My lord, the evening meal is being prepared." You're expected in the hall. You set down the quill, flex your aching fingers, and stand. Your body reminds you of this morning's training. Every movement is stiff. You're going to feel this for days. But duty calls. Always duty. The relentless march of obligation that defines your entire existence.
Evening rituals, communion, strategy, and fleeting peace. As the sun begins its descent, casting long shadows across the stone walls of the fortress, the castle transitions into evening mode. There's a collective exhale, a slight relaxation of tension. Not much, but noticeable. People have survived another day. That counts for something. You make your way back to the great hall, now being set for the evening meal. The long tables are being laid with wooden trenchers, cups, knives. Servants move efficiently, their motions practiced and swift. The fire in the great hearth is roaring, finally providing some actual warmth. Torches are being lit in their brackets, pushing back the encroaching darkness. The hall fills gradually. Knights, men-at-arms, household members, and various castle functionaries take their places. There's a hierarchy even in seating, an unspoken map of status and favor. You sit with your fellow knights, the brotherhood forged through shared suffering. The Lord enters, and everyone rises. He takes his place at the high table, accompanied by his family and honored guests. Once he's seated, everyone else sits. The meal begins. Compared to breakfast, this is a feast. Relatively speaking. There's roasted meat, actual meat, probably pork or mutton. There's a game pie with a thick crust, fresh bread, still warm, a pottage that's been simmering all day with vegetables and herbs, cheese, apples, even some honey cakes if you're lucky.
It's still not gourmet by modern standards, but after the day you've had, it tastes like heaven. You tear into the bread, slather it with drippings from the roasted meat, and eat like a man who's earned every bite. Around you, others do the same. Conversations start, growing louder as ale flows. "Did you see Sir Robert eat dirt during the mounted drills?" someone says, laughing. "I saw. The quintain nearly took his head off." Better the quintain than an actual lance. Laughter. Dark humor. The camaraderie of men who've all suffered together and will suffer again tomorrow. You join in, sharing your own story of the training yard, exaggerating slightly for effect. These stories matter. They're how you process the hardship, how you bond, how you remember you're not alone in this. The ale keeps flowing. Small beer for most, but stronger stuff for those who need it or have earned it. You drink moderately. Getting drunk is tempting,
but you've seen too many knights make fools of themselves, or worse, reveal secrets they shouldn't. Control matters. Always. As the meal winds down, conversations shift. Talk of tomorrow's duties, rumors from neighboring territories, news from travelers passing through, word that a neighboring lord is hiring mercenaries, speculation about why, concern about what that might mean for regional stability. Then someone mentions the patrol. Your patrol, the one you're leading in a few days to deal with the bandits. You'll need good men, Sir Thomas says. Those woods are thick. Easy place for an ambush. I'm aware, you reply. I'm selecting men who know the terrain. And we're not rushing in blind. Scouts first. Information before action. Nods of approval. You're showing you've thought this through. That matters. Reputation is built on many small moments like this. Demonstrations of competence and wisdom. After dinner, as the hall begins to empty, the Lord beckons you over. Your stomach tightens. A private summons is never casual. You approach the high table, bow appropriately. Walk with me, he says. You follow him out of the hall, through corridors, until you're standing on the battlements overlooking the darkening landscape. The wind is cold up here, biting through your tunic. Below you can see the village outside the castle walls, small lights flickering in windows. Beyond that, darkness. This patrol, the Lord begins, without preamble. It's more than just bandits. You wait. He'll get to the point. Lord Blackwood is testing boundaries. I believe these raids are sanctioned by him. A way to probe our defenses, gauge our response. He wants to see if we're weak. Politics. Always politics. What seems like a simple bandit problem is actually a chess move in a larger game. What would you have me do, my lord? Deal with the bandits, firmly. Make a statement, but don't provoke open conflict. Walk the line. Show strength, but not aggression. Another impossible balance. You nod. Understood. Good. I trust you, Sir William. You've proven yourself capable. Don't make me regret that trust. It's a dismissal and a warning wrapped together. You bow, murmur the appropriate response, and he walks away, leaving you on the battlements alone. You stand there for a moment, looking out at the darkness. Somewhere out there are bandits, political schemes, threats you can't see yet, and you're right in the middle of it, expected to navigate perfectly or suffer the consequences. The wind picks up. You shiver. Time to go inside. Back in your chamber, your squire has prepared for the night. A fire in the small hearth, if you're lucky enough to have one. Your armor cleaned and stored. Fresh water in the basin. Your bed, such as it is, ready. You sit on the edge of the bed, suddenly overwhelmed with exhaustion. Every muscle aches. Your mind is buzzing with the day's events, tomorrow's duties, the patrol, the politics, the endless demands. Your squire helps you undress down to your tunic. You're too tired to care about modesty or dignity. He leaves, closing the door softly. Alone now. Finally alone. You lie back on the straw mattress, pull the rough blanket over you, and close your eyes. Sleep should come easily. You're exhausted enough. But your mind won't stop. You're running through scenarios for the patrol, calculating what you'll need, who to bring, what could go wrong, the political implications, the physical dangers. Outside your window, you hear the night watch calling out. All's well. For now. That phrase again. For now. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is certain. You could be called to battle tomorrow. You could fall from your horse next week. You could make one political misstep and lose everything. But those are tomorrow's problems. Tonight, you just need to sleep. You force your thoughts to slow, your breathing to steady. The darkness behind your eyelids is almost comforting. No demands here, no expectations, just the brief mercy of unconsciousness. Eventually, finally, sleep comes. Not peaceful, never truly peaceful, but enough to carry you through to tomorrow's bell, tomorrow's cold awakening, tomorrow's grind. Because this is your life now, this endless cycle. And it will continue until age, injury, or death finally releases you from duty's iron grip. The unseen burden, the weight of the mind. Here's what the songs don't tell you. Here's what the poets conveniently forget. Being a knight isn't just physically exhausting. It's psychologically devastating. And nobody talks about it, because admitting fear, admitting doubt, admitting that you're barely holding it together, that's weakness. And weakness gets you killed. Or worse, dishonored. Let's talk about what lives in your head, the thoughts you can't share with anyone. Every morning when you wake up, there's a moment, just a brief flicker before full consciousness returns, where you forget. Forget the weight of duty, the constant danger, the suffocating expectations. And then reality crashes back, and with it comes the weight. Not the weight of armor, the weight of knowing that today could be the day everything ends. You've seen men die. Of course you have. In training accidents, in skirmishes, from infections that started as minor wounds. You've watched friends, brothers in arms, men you shared meals and jokes with, reduced to still corpses wrapped in cloth. And each time you think, that could have been me. Next time it might be. That knowledge lives in you constantly. It's background noise, ambient dread. You learn to function with it, to push it down, to pretend it's not there, but it never leaves. When you're alone, in those quiet moments between duties, it rises up like bile. The fear. The certainty of your own mortality. And it's not just fear of death. It's fear of failure. Of making the wrong decision and getting your men killed. Of showing cowardice in battle and living with that shame forever. Of losing your lands, your title, your honor, everything that defines your existence. The medieval world has no safety net. One catastrophic mistake and you're done. Then there's the violence. The actual violence you're expected to commit. Training is one thing. Hitting a practice dummy, sparring with blunted weapons. But real combat? That's different. That's blood. That's screaming. That's the smell of opened bodies and voided bowels. That's looking into another man's eyes as you drive steel through his chest and watching the light go out. The first time you killed someone, you probably vomited afterward. Maybe cried. Certainly couldn't sleep. But you can't show that. You have to act like it was nothing, like taking a life is just another task completed. So you bottle it up, push it down, and add it to the collection of horrors you're not allowed to process. And it accumulates. Every violent act, every close call, every friend lost. They stack up inside you like stones, weighing you down, making it harder to breathe. Some nights turn to drink, drowning their demons in ale until they can't function. Others become harder, colder, until they're barely human anymore, just machines of duty and violence.
You've noticed changes in yourself. Things that used to bother you don't anymore. You can eat while discussing someone's grisly death. You can sleep in a room next to where someone died screaming. You can make tactical decisions that you know will result in casualties and not flinch. Is that strength? Or is it your humanity slowly eroding? The loneliness is another burden. You're surrounded by people constantly. Knights, squires, servants, soldiers. But you can't truly connect with any of them. Every relationship is colored by hierarchy, by politics, by the calculation of advantage. Who can you trust completely? No one. Who can you show weakness to? No one. You're isolated inside your own head, performing the role of confident, capable knight, while internally you're barely holding it together. And the pressure never stops. The expectation that you'll always be brave, always be strong, always make the right call. That you'll never falter, never doubt, never show anything but unwavering resolve. It's exhausting. Some days you want to scream that you don't know what you're doing, that you're terrified, that you're one bad day away from breaking, but you can't, because the moment you show that crack, the moment you admit that vulnerability, everything you've built crumbles. So you wear the mask, the stoic knight, the dutiful vassal, the fearless warrior, and that mask becomes heavier than any armor, because at least you can take off the armor at the end of the day. The psychological armor, that never comes off. You wear it to bed. You wear it in your dreams. You wear it until you forget there was ever anything underneath. There are moments of doubt. Late at night, staring at the ceiling, you wonder, was it worth it? This life you've chosen, or had chosen for you. The constant pain, the endless duty, the psychological toll. Your nobility, yes. You have land, status, respect. But what good is any of that when you're miserable? When you're trapped in a life that demands everything and gives back only more suffering? But then morning comes, the bell rings, duty calls, and you push those thoughts down once again, because questioning doesn't change anything. You are a knight. This is your role. This is your burden, and you'll carry it until death relieves you of the obligation. What keeps you going? Honor. That nebulous concept that's been drilled into you since childhood.
Honor means doing your duty regardless of cost. Honor means protecting those weaker than you. Honor means facing fear and acting anyway. Honor means living up to the ideals even when the reality is brutal and unforgiving. And there's purpose in that. On your better days, you can see it. Your presence here, your willingness to endure, it maintains order. It protects the people who can't protect themselves. It holds back chaos, at least temporarily. The peasants farming your lands, they rely on you. The village under your castle's protection, they need you. And knowing that you're the barrier between them and violence, between them and starvation, between them and chaos, that matters. So you keep going. Not because you're particularly brave, not because you're unafraid, but because the alternative, giving up, abandoning your post, would be worse. The shame would be unbearable. The dishonor would follow your family for generations. This is the unseen burden of knighthood, the weight that doesn't show up in songs or stories, the psychological toll of living a life defined by violence, duty, and the constant awareness that you're one mistake away from ruin. It's not glamorous. It's not heroic. It's just brutal, grinding survival, day after day after day. And the worst part? Nobody acknowledges it. There's no support, no counseling, no outlet. You're expected to just endure, to be strong enough to carry it all without complaint. And if you can't, well, you were probably weak to begin with. So you endure, because that's what knights do. You carry the weight, visible and invisible. You wear the armor, physical and psychological. You do your duty, no matter the cost to your body or mind. And tomorrow, when that bell rings again, you'll wake up and do it all over. Because this is your life. This is your burden. And you'll carry it until the very end. The patrol, where theory meets blood. 3 days later, you're leading 12 men into the forest. This is where everything you've trained for, all the politics you've navigated, all the preparation and planning gets tested against reality. And reality, you've learned, has a way of ignoring your careful plans. The morning started before dawn. You assembled your group in the courtyard by torchlight. Experienced men-at-arms, a few fellow knights, including Sir Geoffrey, because the Lord insisted on that political addition, and several scouts who know these woods better than their own families. Everyone's armed and armored, though not in full plate. That would be suicide in forest terrain. Instead, lighter gear, mail shirts, leather reinforcements, helmets, shields, and weapons. Mobility matters more than maximum protection when you're hunting bandits in thick woodland. You reviewed the plan one last time. The scouts reported a camp about 8 miles north, hidden in a ravine near the old Roman road. The bandits have been using it as a base for raids. Your objective? Eliminate the threat, send a message, and return without losing anyone. Simple on paper, complicated in execution. Now you're several hours into the march. The forest has swallowed you. Thick canopy overhead blocks most of the sunlight, creating a perpetual twilight. The path, such as it is, winds through undergrowth and around ancient trees. The ground is uneven, muddy from recent rain, treacherous.
Your senses are on high alert. Every snapping twig could be danger. Every rustle in the bushes could be an ambush. The scouts move ahead, signaling back with hand gestures. All clear. Keep moving. Slow pace. The men are quiet, speaking only when necessary. They know the stakes. You're hyper-aware of everything. The weight of your sword at your hip, the shield on your back, the way your mail shirt shifts with each movement, the sound of 12 men trying to move quietly through forest, the smell of damp earth, rotting leaves, and fear sweat. Sir Geoffrey rides beside you, his face unreadable. Political rival or ally? In this moment, it doesn't matter. You need him watching your flank as much as he needs you watching his. Survival creates temporary unity. One of the scouts appears ahead, signaling urgently. Everyone stops. You move forward carefully. The scout points through the trees. Down in a ravine, partially hidden by undergrowth, you can see smoke rising. A campfire. Careless of them, but bandits aren't typically military geniuses. You signal for everyone to gather close. Whispered orders. We encircle them. 2 groups, one from the north, one from the south. Wait for my signal. No one moves until I give the word. We want them trapped, not scattered. Nods of understanding. The men split into groups. Sir Geoffrey takes command of one. You lead the other. You move slowly, carefully positioning yourselves on the ridge above the camp. From here, you can see down into the ravine. There are maybe 15 bandits, ragged men, wearing mismatched armor and carrying weapons of varying quality. Some are eating, others are sleeping, a few are gambling with dice. They look relaxed, unprepared. Good. But you've been in enough fights to know overconfidence kills. Never assume your enemy is stupid or defenseless. Always expect something to go wrong. You wait until both groups are in position. You can see Sir Geoffrey across the ravine, meeting your eyes. He nods. Ready. You raise your hand. Hold. Hold. Now, the signal. Both groups charge down into the ravine simultaneously, screaming to maximize shock and terror. The battle cry echoes through the forest. The bandits scramble, grabbing weapons, trying to form any kind of defense. Too late. You're on them. Your training takes over. Muscle memory. Instinct honed through thousands of hours of practice. You see a bandit raising a spear, you deflect with your shield, slash with your sword, feel the blade bite into flesh. He goes down, screaming. Around you, chaos. The clash of metal, shouting, screaming. The thud of bodies hitting ground. Your men are professionals, disciplined. The bandits are disorganized, panicked. It's not a fair fight. It's not meant to be. A bandit comes at you with an axe. Wild swing, too much commitment. You sidestep, let his momentum carry him past you. Drive your sword into his back as he stumbles. He falls face first into the mud, not getting up. The fight is brutal and quick. Maybe 5 minutes from start to finish. When it's over, most of the bandits are dead. A few are wounded, moaning on the ground. 2 or 3 escaped into the forest, but your scouts are already pursuing. You stand in the ravine, breathing hard, blood pounding in your ears. Your sword is red.
Your hands are shaking from adrenaline. Around you, your men are checking bodies, securing the camp, making sure no one's playing dead, waiting to stab someone in the back. "Any casualties?" you call out. "2 wounded, my lord." "Nothing serious. One man took a blade to the arm, but it's shallow." Relief. You didn't lose anyone. That's a win by itself. Sir Geoffrey approaches, his own sword bloodied. "Efficient," he says. Might be a compliment, might be neutral observation. Hard to tell with him. You survey the camp. The bandits had been living rough, stolen supplies, some coins probably taken from travelers, weapons of questionable quality, and evidence, correspondence suggesting they were indeed working for someone. You pocket the letters. The Lord will want to see these. "Burn the camp," you order. "Take anything useful. Leave the bodies for the crows. I want everyone to know what happens to bandits operating in our territory." It's harsh. It's meant to be. This isn't just about eliminating a threat. It's about sending a message, about demonstrating strength, about politics wrapped in violence. As your men work, you step away, suddenly needing space. The adrenaline is fading, leaving you shaky and nauseous. You find a tree, lean against it, take deep breaths. Your hands are still trembling. There's blood on your gloves, your arms, probably your face. You just killed at least 2 men, maybe 3. You stopped counting after the first. And you'll have to live with that. Add it to the collection. More weight for the invisible burden. But you can't show weakness. Not here. Not now. You straighten up, wipe your blade clean on some leaves, sheath it. Walk back with your face composed, emotions locked away. The march back is quieter. Everyone's coming down from battle high. The wounded are being helped. The men are tired, carrying extra supplies from the camp. But there's also satisfaction. Mission accomplished. No one lost. Clean victory. You return to the castle as the sun is setting. The gates open. People gather to see the returning patrol. You dismount, stiff and sore from hours of riding. The Lord is waiting. You approach. Bow. "The bandit camp has been eliminated, my lord. We found evidence suggesting outside support." You hand him the letters. He reads, his expression darkening. "As I suspected. Well done, Sir William. You and your men have my gratitude." Public praise. Political capital earned. You bow again, murmur appropriate thanks. That night, in your chamber, you finally remove the blood-stained clothes. Your squire takes them away to be cleaned, though some stains never really come out. You wash in cold water, scrubbing away the grime and gore of battle. In the small mirror you look at yourself. Same face, same eyes, but something's different. Something always changes after combat. Another piece of innocence gone. Another layer of hardness added. You're becoming the thing you were trained to be. A weapon. A tool of political will. A keeper of order through violence. And tomorrow, you'll wake up and do it again. Because this is what knights do. This is the reality behind the legend. Blood, duty, and the grinding, relentless necessity of survival. The price of honor. What glory really costs.
Let's talk about the cost, the real cost, not the romantic version, not the sanitized story told by bards. The actual price of being a knight, measured in ways that don't show up in songs. Your body is a wreck. You're 30 years old and you move like 60. Every old injury has left its mark. That shoulder you injured at 17, it aches every morning and gets worse with weather changes. The knee you twisted falling from a horse clicks with every step, occasionally gives out entirely. The ribs that were broken in a tournament, healed incorrectly, now you can't take deep breaths without pain. You have scars, lots of them, across your arms, your legs, your torso, some from blades, some from arrows, one particularly nasty one across your abdomen from that ambush 3 years ago that almost killed you. You survived, obviously, but the infection that followed nearly finished what the blade started. You still have nightmares about the fever, the delirium, the certainty you were dying. Your hands are deformed. Years of gripping sword hilts, absorbing impacts through shield straps have left your fingers permanently curved, knuckles swollen with early arthritis. You can barely make a fist anymore. Writing is painful. Fine motor skills are degrading. Your hearing is damaged. Too many battles, too many hours in a helmet with metal clanging around your ears. There's a constant ringing now, a high-pitched whine that never goes away. And you've started asking people to repeat themselves, though you pretend it's because they're speaking too quietly, not because you're going deaf. You're probably not going to live to see 50. That's just reality. The combination of old injuries, accumulated damage, and the constant stress on your body means you're aging rapidly. Most knights don't die gloriously in battle. They die in their 40s, from heart failure, from infections, from bodies that just give up. And that's just the physical cost. Let's talk about what you've sacrificed personally. Relationships? Complicated at best. You're married, probably, because marriage for knights is a political and economic arrangement, not a romantic one. Your wife might live on your estate or in the castle, and you see her occasionally, exchange polite words, fulfill dynastic obligations. Love? That's for peasants and poets. You have duty. Children? Maybe. If you're lucky, you have sons being raised to follow in your footsteps, to inherit the same grinding existence. And you feel guilty about that, about condemning them to this life. But what choice do you have? This is your legacy. This is what you can offer them. Friends? The closest thing you have to friends are fellow knights, but even those relationships are colored by competition, by hierarchy, by the knowledge that politics could make you enemies tomorrow. True friendship requires vulnerability, trust, openness, and you can't afford any of those. You've missed everything. Births of children, deaths of family members, years of your life spent away from home on campaigns, patrols, obligations. You're a stranger in your own house. Your children barely know you. Your wife has learned to manage everything without you. You're just the armed protector who shows up occasionally, collects rents, and leaves again. And the money? Everyone thinks knights are wealthy. Some are. Most aren't. Yes, you have land. But land requires maintenance, investment, management. Your armor alone costs more than most peasants will earn in their lifetime. Your horse, your weapons, your equipment. It all requires constant replacement and repair. Campaigns and obligations drain your resources. Taxes to your lord take a significant portion.
What's left barely covers your household and the appearance of nobility you're expected to maintain. You're basically running on a financial tightrope, one bad harvest or expensive campaign away from serious problems. And you can't show it. You have to maintain the facade of wealth and success, because appearance matters almost as much as reality.
Then there's the moral cost. The things you've done in the name of duty, the villages you've helped pacify, the peasants you've punished for transgressions, deserved or not, the enemies you've killed who were probably just like you, following orders, doing their duty, the compromises you've made, the things you've turned a blind eye to, the injustices you've participated in. You tell yourself it's necessary, that order requires enforcement, that your actions prevent greater chaos, and maybe that's true. But late at night, in the quiet moments, you remember the faces, the people who suffered because of decisions you made or actions you took, and you wonder if honor is just a word you use to justify violence. The isolation is another cost. You can never truly relax, never let your guard down. Every word is calculated. Every action is measured against how it will be perceived. You're constantly performing, playing the role of the noble knight, the dutiful vassal, the strong warrior. And you've been performing so long you've forgotten who you actually are underneath. Some knights find solace in religion. They pray, confess their sins, seek absolution and meaning. Some find it. Others just add guilt to their collection of burdens. You pray sometimes, go through the motions, but you're not sure who you're talking to, or if anyone's listening. Faith requires trust, and you learned long ago that trust is a luxury. Others turn cynical. They see the system for what it is, a structure that perpetuates itself regardless of justice or merit. They do their duty mechanically, without belief, just going through motions until death releases them. Some of your fellow knights are like this. You can see it in their eyes. The spark is gone. They're just waiting for it to be over. And then there are a few, the true believers, who still think it means something, who believe in chivalry, in honor, in the nobility of their cause. You envy them. You remember being like that once, young and certain. You're not sure when you lost it. It wasn't one moment. It was gradual erosion, each compromise, each harsh reality, each betrayal wearing away at your idealism, until nothing remained but obligation. So what's the price of honor? Everything. Your body, your relationships, your peace of mind, your innocence, your time, your life itself. You've sacrificed everything at the altar of duty, and the question that haunts you is, was it worth it? You don't know. Honestly, you don't know. Some days you can see the purpose, the meaning, the necessity of your role. Other days it feels like elaborate suffering, a system that chews up human beings and spits out broken tools. But the reality is, it doesn't matter whether it was worth it. Because this is your life. You can't undo your choices. You can't reclaim the years. You can't restore your body or resurrect your idealism. You can only keep going forward, carrying the weight, doing the duty, until the inevitable end. And maybe, just maybe, that's its own kind of honor. Not the glorious version, the stubborn, grinding version, the refusal to quit even when everything hurts and nothing makes sense, the determination to keep your promises, fulfill your obligations, protect those depending on you, regardless of personal cost. Maybe that's what being a knight really means.
Not shining armor and noble quests, but the quiet, thankless endurance of someone who chose, or was chosen for, a hard path, and walked it anyway, day after day, year after year, until the very end. That's the price. That's the cost. That's the reality behind every legend you've ever heard. And tonight, as you lie in your cold bed, body aching, mind exhausted, you'll close your eyes and do it all again tomorrow. Because you're a knight, and knights endure. The eternal grind, legacy in stone and blood. Months pass, seasons change, the grind continues. Winter comes, and with it, new challenges. The castle becomes a frigid stone prison, training in freezing conditions where your breath creates clouds and your fingers go numb inside your gauntlets. Patrols through snow-covered forests where visibility is poor and bandits are desperate. Political tensions that heat up precisely when the weather turns cold, because winter is when hungry lords start eyeing their neighbors' supplies. You lead another patrol, then another. Each one the same calculated risk, the same potential for violence, the same relief when you return without losing anyone. The letters you found suggesting Lord Blackwood's involvement were handled quietly through channels you're not privy to. Politics at a level above your concern. You did your job. The consequences are someone else's responsibility. Spring brings different problems. Planting season means peasant disputes over land boundaries, water rights, and access to resources. You spend weeks mediating conflicts, making judgments, trying to maintain order among people who have their own struggles and see you as both protector and oppressor. It's thankless work, but necessary. The social fabric depends on these small acts of justice and administration. Your body continues its slow deterioration. New pains join the old ones. A training accident leaves you with a limp that takes weeks to heal, then doesn't fully heal. Now it's permanent. Just another thing to adapt to, compensate for. Pretend doesn't affect you. You attend a tournament. It's political obligation masquerading as entertainment. You participate in the joust because refusing would be noticed, interpreted as weakness or slight. You manage not to embarrass yourself, even score a few decent hits. But you're not young anymore. The younger knights are faster, hungrier. You can feel yourself becoming obsolete in real time. That night, after the tournament, you share drinks with some of the older knights, men your age or older, all bearing the same marks of their profession. The conversation drifts to memories of youth, of when they believed the songs, of the moment each of them realized the truth. There's laughter, but it's bitter. The laughter of men who survived something they're not sure they should have. Do you ever regret it? Someone asks. The question hangs in the air. Silence. Then someone else answers. Every day and never. It's complicated. Murmurs of agreement. Because it is complicated. Yes, it's brutal. Yes, it's taken everything. But it's also who you are. Your identity is so intertwined with being a knight that removing it would leave nothing behind. You are your duty. Your duty is you. Summer brings campaigns. Your lord calls upon you to join a larger force, assembling for some political objective you're only partially informed about. You gather your men,
your equipment, and march off to war, or what passes for war in this age. Mostly it's posturing, sieges that last weeks, occasional skirmishes, and a lot of sitting around in camps watching supplies dwindle. But there's combat, real combat, a pitched battle against a rival lord's forces, the terror of cavalry charges, the chaos of melee, where friend and foe blur together, the sound of men screaming, dying, begging. You fight because fighting is what you do. You survive because you're experienced, lucky, or both. After the battle, you walk through the aftermath. Bodies everywhere. The smell of death is overwhelming. You're looking for your men, counting who made it, who didn't. You lost 3. Good men. Men who followed you, trusted you, and died anyway. Their blood is on your hands as surely as if you'd killed them yourself. You write letters to their families. Empty words that mean nothing. He died bravely. He served with honor. What you don't write? He died screaming, terrified, in agony. He died because I led him there. He died because this is what we do. Fall arrives. Harvest time. You return to your estate to oversee the collection of rents and taxes. Your fields have done reasonably well. Your peasants have survived another year. The cycle continues. You take your portion, ensure your lord gets his, save some for the inevitable bad year. The arithmetic of survival. You're sitting in your manor one evening, reviewing accounts, when you realize you're 40 years old. 40. You've been a knight for over 20 years. 2 decades of this grind. And what do you have to show for it? Scars, pain, memories you wish you could forget. Some land that will pass to children who will repeat the cycle. A reputation among your peers as competent and reliable, which matters until the moment you die and then immediately stops mattering. Is this legacy? Is this what you were training for all those years? The opportunity to grow old prematurely, hurt constantly, and die unfulfilled. But then you think about the alternative. The peasants farming your land. They have some measure of security because you maintain order. The village under your protection hasn't been raided because bandits know you'll respond. The widow whose husband died in your service receives a small pension because you ensure it's paid. The squires you're training might learn from your experience and make fewer mistakes. It's not heroic. It's not glorious. But maybe it's enough. Maybe the legacy of a knight isn't in grand achievements, but in small acts of duty faithfully executed, in showing up every day despite the pain, in doing the job even when it's thankless, in holding the line so others don't have to. Winter comes around again. Another year ending. Another year survived. You stand on the battlements one evening, looking out at the landscape, the village lights, the dark forest, the stars above indifferent to human suffering. You think about all the knights who came before you, stood in this same spot, felt this same weight, did this same grinding duty. And all the knights who will come after. An endless chain of men sacrificing themselves to maintain a system that might not even deserve maintaining. But it's the only system there is, and someone has to hold it up. Today, that someone is you. Tomorrow, it will be you again. And the day after that. Until one day,
It won't be. One day the bell will ring and you won't wake up. Or you'll wake up and realize you can't do it anymore. Your body will finally fail you completely, and someone younger will take your place, step into the grind, and the cycle will continue. This is the eternal truth of knighthood. It's not about individual glory. It's about being one link in a chain that stretches back into the past and forward into the future. You're temporary. Your pain is temporary. Your struggle is temporary. But the duty itself, that's eternal. And there's something almost comforting in that. You're part of something larger than yourself. Your suffering serves a purpose beyond your personal experience. You're maintaining something, even if you can't articulate exactly what. So you'll wake up tomorrow. You'll put on the armor. You'll do the training. You'll handle the administration. You'll lead the patrols. You'll make the hard decisions. You'll carry the weight. Because that's what knights do. Not because it's glorious, not because it's rewarding, but because it's necessary, and because someone has to, and because, for better or worse, you took an oath, and a knight keeps his oath, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. This is the legacy, not in songs, but in stones, not in glory, but in grinding daily endurance, not in the heroic moment, but in 10,000 unremarkable ones. This is what it means to be a knight. And tomorrow, you'll prove it all over again. The final bell. Reflections from the other side. So here we are. You've lived through 24 hours as a medieval knight. Well, you've experienced a glimpse, a sanitized, abbreviated version. The reality? Take what you just went through and multiply it by every day for 20 years. That's the actual experience. Now you're sitting wherever you are. Maybe in a comfortable chair. Maybe in bed. The temperature is perfect because you control it. You're safe because you live in a world with laws, police, and social safety nets. You ate today, probably multiple times, and the food was safe, varied, and available without significant effort. Your body doesn't hurt, or if it does, you have options: pain medication, physical therapy, medical care. You'll probably live into your 70s or 80s. You can pursue education, change careers, express yourself freely. You have rights, protections, choices, all things a medieval knight couldn't even imagine. It's easy to romanticize the past, to look at knights and think about honor, glory, adventure, to wish we lived in a simpler time. But there was nothing simple about it. It was brutally hard in ways we can barely comprehend. Every single day was survival. Every single day was pain. And there was no escape, no retirement, no opt-out button.
The knights who lived that life didn't do it because they loved it. They did it because it was their obligation, their identity, their only option. They endured suffering we would consider intolerable. They sacrificed everything for abstract concepts like honor and duty. And most of them died without recognition, without legacy, without anyone remembering their names. But here's the thing. They did it anyway. Generation after generation of men who woke up in freezing stone rooms, put on heavy armor, trained until their bodies broke, made impossible decisions, carried unbearable weight, and kept going. Not because they were superhuman, but because they were human. And humans are capable of astonishing endurance when necessary. We inherited the world they built. The concepts of duty, honor, and sacrifice that seem old-fashioned now, those were forged in the daily grind of medieval knights. The legal systems, the social structures, the very idea of personal responsibility for the common good, it all traces back to people who lived and died maintaining those principles when everything was harder. So maybe take a moment tonight. When you're in your comfortable bed, in your climate-controlled room, safe and fed and free, maybe think about those men. The ones who spent their entire lives in discomfort, in danger, in service to something larger than themselves. The ones who never got to experience the ease we take for granted. They didn't do it for us. They didn't know we'd exist. They did it because it was what their world required. But we benefit anyway. Every comfort, every freedom, every right we enjoy was built on foundations laid by people who suffered so we don't have to. You don't have to be a knight. You don't have to wear armor or train for combat or carry those burdens. But you can honor what they represented. The stubborn refusal to quit. The commitment to duty over comfort. The willingness to endure for something larger than personal satisfaction. In our modern world, we're not asked to do much. Show up occasionally. Follow some basic rules. Contribute a little. And in return, we get lives of unprecedented ease and opportunity. We have it so easy compared to every generation before us. And sometimes we forget that. So tonight, as you drift off to sleep in your perfect bed, maybe whisper a quiet thank you to the medieval knights, to the countless humans throughout history who lived hard lives so you could live an easy one. Because that's the real legacy, not the battles or the glory, but the endurance, the determination to keep going when everything hurts and nothing makes sense. The refusal to abandon duty even when duty demands everything. We don't need to be knights. We don't need to suffer like they did. But we can learn from them. We can remember that comfort is a privilege, not a right. That duty still matters. That endurance has value. That sometimes the most heroic thing you can do is simply show up every day and do what needs doing, regardless of cost. The medieval knight would look at your life and think it's paradise. You have everything they dreamed of: safety, comfort,
choice, freedom. Don't waste it. Don't take it for granted. Honor their sacrifice by living intentionally, by appreciating what you have, by remembering that countless generations suffered so you could have this moment of peace. And if you ever feel like your life is hard, like your problems are overwhelming, like you can't possibly continue, remember the night, waking up in freezing darkness, armor that weighed as much as a child, training that broke bodies, politics that could cost lives, violence that haunted dreams, duty that never ended. And remember that they did it every day, for years, for decades, until death finally released them. If they could endure that, you can endure whatever you're facing. Not because suffering is noble, not because pain builds character, but because humans are stronger than they think. And sometimes, knowing that others survived worse is enough to help you survive what's in front of you. Epilogue: The Modern Knight. Before we end tonight's journey, let's talk about what knighthood means now. Because here's the thing, the actual job doesn't exist anymore. We don't have knights in the medieval sense. We have soldiers, yes. Police, firefighters, first responders, people who put themselves in harm's way for others. But the specific role of the knight, that's gone. Relegated to history, to museums, to stories. Or is it? The physical aspects are obsolete. We don't need men in armor. We have modern militaries with tanks and drones. We don't need feudal systems. We have democracies and social contracts. The structure that created and required knights is extinct. But the underlying principles, duty, honor, sacrifice, service, protection of those who can't protect themselves, those aren't obsolete. Those are eternal human needs, just expressed differently now. Modern society still requires people willing to do hard things for the common good, willing to sacrifice personal comfort for collective benefit, willing to show up every day and do unglamorous, difficult work because someone has to. The teacher spending their own money on classroom supplies and staying late to help struggling students. That's knightly duty in modern form. The nurse working double shifts during a crisis, exposing themselves to danger to care for the sick. That's knightly sacrifice. The social worker advocating for abused children despite emotional exhaustion and bureaucratic obstacles. That's knightly honor. These people aren't wearing armor or carrying swords. They're wearing scrubs, business casual, uniforms, but they're embodying the same principles that drove medieval knights. Service over self, duty despite difficulty, endurance when everything says quit. And on a smaller scale, more personal level, the single parent working 2 jobs to provide for their kids, the person caring for an elderly relative with dementia, the friend who shows up consistently for someone battling depression, the individual who keeps promises even when it's inconvenient. These are all expressions of knightly virtue translated into modern context. The medieval knight didn't choose comfort, they chose obligation. And our world still needs people willing to make that choice. Not because it's glamorous or rewarding, but because communities, societies, and civilizations require individuals willing to carry more than their share, to do what's needed, to maintain the structures that allow everyone else to flourish. You don't need armor to be a knight. You need commitment. You need the willingness to endure discomfort for something larger than yourself. You need the strength to keep showing up when it would be easier to quit. You need the moral courage to do right, even when it costs you. That's available to everyone. That's what the knight really represents, stripped of medieval trappings. It's not about combat or nobility or feudal systems. It's about character expressed through action. Principles lived consistently. Duty fulfilled faithfully. So ask yourself, what's your armor? What's the hard thing you're called to do? What's the duty that requires your consistent attention, even when it's uncomfortable? What's the service you can provide that makes your community stronger? Maybe it's your job, done with excellence and integrity, even when no one's watching. Maybe it's your family, cared for consistently, even when you're exhausted. Maybe it's a cause you believe in, supported through action, not just words. Maybe it's small acts of kindness and reliability that create stability for others. Whatever it is, do it with the spirit of the knight, not seeking glory, not demanding recognition, just showing up, doing the work, carrying the weight, day after day, year after year, until your watch ends. Because that's what the knight teaches us across centuries. That heroism isn't in grand gestures. It's in daily faithfulness, in stubborn endurance, in the quiet determination to keep promises, fulfill obligations, and maintain standards even when everything says it doesn't matter. It does matter. It always matters. And the world still needs people who understand that. Closing. The bell rings again. So we've come full circle. From the morning bell that started this grueling day, through every exhausting hour, every painful moment, every difficult decision, back to the moment of rest that's never quite restful because tomorrow's bell is already waiting. This was 24 hours as a medieval knight, not the fantasy version, the real one, the version that breaks bodies and tests souls, the version that demands everything and gives back only more opportunity to prove yourself worthy of the burden. If you made it this far through this script, through this journey, thank you for sticking with it. I know it wasn't easy, just like the knight's life wasn't easy. But worthwhile things rarely are. Before you go, take that moment I mentioned at the start. Hit like if this changed how you see history, or knights, or maybe even your own life. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into the harsh realities behind historical myths. And drop a comment. Tell me what surprised you. What made you uncomfortable? What you'll think about differently now. And tell me where you're watching from. What time it is. What your life is like right now. Because we're all living our own version of the grind, just in different contexts. And sometimes connecting across that distance, sharing the experience of endurance, that helps. We live in the most comfortable era in human history. We have advantages, privileges, and opportunities that would seem like magic to medieval knights. Hot water on demand, instant communication, medicine that actually works, food security, temperature control, legal protection, human rights, all things they died never experiencing. So honor them by not wasting it, by appreciating what you have, by living intentionally, by enduring your own challenges with some measure of the strength they showed in facing theirs. You don't have to be a knight. but you can carry the spirit, the commitment to duty, the willingness to serve, the determination to show up even when it's hard, the refusal to quit when quitting would be easier. That spirit is timeless. That spirit built civilizations. That spirit created the world you inherited. That spirit still matters. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off, you won't be waking up in a freezing stone chamber. You won't be putting on 80 pounds of armor. You won't be training for combat or navigating deadly politics or enduring constant pain. You'll just be facing another day with its own challenges, its own demands, its own grind. And compared to the medieval knight, your day will be easy, objectively, undeniably easy. But it might not feel easy, because suffering is relative, struggle is personal, and your challenges are real to you, even if they pale beside historical hardship. So take inspiration from the knight, not to minimize your experience, but to strengthen your resolve. If they could endure that, you can endure this. If they could find meaning in suffering, you can find meaning in struggle. If they could maintain honor in a brutal world, you can maintain integrity in a complicated one. The bell rings. The day begins. The grind continues. But you're stronger than you think, more capable than you believe, more resilient than you've had to prove yet. And tomorrow, when you wake up, remember the night. Remember their sacrifice. Remember their endurance. Remember their legacy. And then go live your life in a way that honors what they represented. Not by suffering unnecessarily, but by living purposefully, by choosing duty over comfort when it matters, by serving something larger than yourself, by showing up consistently, by keeping your promises, by being reliable when others depend on you. That's the modern knighthood. That's the legacy that still lives. That's how we honor those who came before and built the foundation we stand on. The medieval knight would be amazed by your life. Don't let them down by wasting it. Don't take for granted what they never had. Don't squander opportunities they couldn't imagine. Live well. Live intentionally. Live with gratitude for the extraordinary privilege of being born in this time, in this place, with these opportunities. And when it gets hard, when you're tired, when you want to quit, remember them, standing in the training yard, wearing the armor, doing the duty, enduring the grind. If they could do that every day for decades, you can handle today. The bell rings. The day begins. What will you do with it?